I'm joined now by the CEO of Bloomberg New Energy Finance, Michael Liebreich. Thank you very much for coming in to have a look at this with us. I suppose the very first problem and the thing that President Obama needs to concentrate on is clearing up this hideous environmental disaster.
Well, absolutely. I think before he moves to restructuring the US's energy system, he's really got to focus on that. It is an absolutely colossal disaster, and it's affecting hundreds of thousands, millions of people, and that's got to be the top priority.
Now, what he also said in his address last night, and what he's hinted at before by using this parallel with 9/11, is that this really could be, a very important moment in the history of America, and they could actually move now to cleaner, greener energy. Do you think that that is likely to happen?
Well, I think first let me deal with one thing. I think it's very foolish for him to bring 9/11 into it. 9/11 was very, very different. This is an accident that has happened to a company whilst in pursuit of profits, and so it's very different politically. And I think that that is relevant if he is going to take the country along with him in this journey to a cleaner and different energy system. Then he has to get the politics pitch perfect.
There is a big question, isn't there, as to whether or not Americans, who are very happy to bash BP and to find somebody to blame for this hideous disaster, are actually going to want to sacrifice the cheap gas that they need for their cars and for their lifestyle.
Oh, there's definitely, absolutely, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. There's an emotional journey away from driving the big SUVs and the pickups and so on to what the future will look like, which is all about electric vehicles and some biofuels and so on, plug-in hybrids and so on. That's not going to start down in Louisiana and in Texas, but it is going to start in the Northeast, up in Vermont and in California and so on. So it is going to happen.
And from a new energy perspective, do you see signs that America is ready to embrace that new initiative?
Well, there's sort of struggle going on for the heart of the debate here, because what you've got is half of America understands that the world is going to clean energy, and the other half, in fact, it's not really a half, it's a blocking minority, just wants things sort of to stay as they are, but perhaps without the terrible spill.
Now, one thing that I find, maybe you can clear this up for me, I find amazing, is it really true that China, for example, is more advanced in terms of green energy than America?
Well, it's not more advanced in terms of the technologies. That's very important. It's actually more advanced, and it's spending more money, and it's investing, and it's rolling out the current generation of technologies. So China invested $34 billion last year against somewhere around 15 or 18 billion in the US. So it's investing more, and it's building more wind farms, and it's doing more in terms of solar, but it's not investing in technology the way the US is. So the US is ahead in the high technology stuff, perhaps the next generation, but China is just plowing ahead and doing it in a way that the US isn't.
So if America does embrace some of this new technology, what could it look like? What kinds of clean energy could we expect to see?
Well, relevant to the spill, it's all about transportation, because there's a lot of talk about wind energy, and wind is, of course, it's electricity. That's relevant as the transportation fleet goes to electric, so either electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids. So it's all about the transportation fleet and where that's going to go, which is in that direction.
And who would be the winners? I mean, can you see companies like BP changing and investing more in clean energy, or are they going to be brand new companies?
Well, it's ironic, because actually BP was one of the most progressive of the international oil companies in terms of thinking about and shifting to, just the beyond petroleum was a sort of an early bit of thinking about how to move to a new future. So it will involve the IOCs, the international oil companies, but it'll be hard for them to shift fully. It is still such a small part of their activities relative to the oil and gas activities. So there's going to be there's room for a substantial number of new majors that start in the clean energy business.
You talked briefly at the beginning about bringing President Obama bringing the country along with him. What do you think that he has to do next to try and engage them, not just in BP, but in the next step?
He's got to win the jobs discussion. He's got to help Americans understand that doing something about the structure of the energy industry means winners and losers, but it does mean substantial numbers of winners. At the moment, he's not winning that argument. So climate legislation and any changes to the energy system is seen as a jobs destroyer.
Yeah.
And he's got to win that argument and point out how it can actually revitalise the US's economy.
Particularly in places like Louisiana.
Louisiana is very difficult because they are so dependent, of course, on the offshore oil.
And indeed, many of them want to get backward to deep-water drilling.
You know, and you can't blame them, but it is sort of sad to see that their route out of the economic problems might be to do more of the same activities that got them where they are today.
Michael Liebreich, thank you very much indeed for joining us.